All right, guys, welcome back. My name is Logan with West Desert Shooter. In today's video, we shoot some excellent groups, and then things kind of go to hell. So we got 3 powders that we're going to be dealing with today. I'm re-verifying IMR4895 as well as trying a hotter charge. I just picked up these 2 powders. Apparently it's a purple powder day. They're all 3 purple or pink. Ogden Benchmark is a new one that I picked up, and it's applicable to what we're shooting here today, as well as Ogden H380. This is a new one that I haven't messed with. I've heard things about H380 that it's hard to ignite and it can cause hang fires in extreme cold. I don't know about this. I'm usually not in extreme cold, and I'm usually not a spherical powder guy. I will say, when reloading this stuff, this is the most spherical powder I've ever seen in my. It's a ball. Like, it is a round ball. A lot of spherical stuff is just little tiny oblong shaped stuff that's just round. This is like a ball. Like, it's really interesting to see. When pouring it into the powder measure and stuff, like it's really weird stuff. Super cool to look at. So we're going to be shooting 10 rounds of each powder. This guy's the only one who's not the same load, but then we're shooting 2 5-shot groups for both of these powders. We're shooting 2 5-shot groups for IMR4895 as well, but we're going to have a difference of a powder charge. Let's talk about it. H380 is going to be getting 43 grains and an overall length of 2.920 with the Barnes 171 grain match burner bullets. I've been having excellent results with these, and so what I'm really doing is I found an overall length the gun likes with the right powder. So I'm just trying different powders behind that same combo to see how powders really affect things here. So 2.920 should put us 25 thousandths off the lands. Benchmark, we've got 37 grains of Ogden Benchmark, same overall length. IMR4895, I'm shooting 2 powder charges here. We've shot 38 grains 2 or 3 times previous to this, and it's worked really, really good. But the velocity wasn't quite as high as I wanted, so I bumped this up to 39 grains as well. That's still within the load data, and after this, I might even go hotter on this guy, just to give you a little peek of how that thing is acting for us. So I've got a couple clips with the target camera. Unfortunately, my target camera battery died while I was out there, so I didn't get all of them. But we record some amazing groups with this guy, and then we record one group with Benchmark as well, and then it dies before we get to H380. So let's check out the range footage. We'll go check all that out, and then we'll come back here and we'll talk about our results. All right, friends, we are back out here with the 7mm 08. Everything's ready to go. Even got a target camera for these first couple groups. Starting out with our pet load for this guy, which would be IMR4895, 38 grains. I changed my primer. I was using a CCI BR2 that was like 6 or 7 years old, and I changed it over to a 2 to 3 year old Federal Gold Medal Match large rifle primer. This has now been once fired alpha brass, so it's fire formed to the chamber and then resized and fully processed, ready to go. But this should be capable of shooting a tiny little group down there, so I'm excited to try and do that. And then, because I never played with powder charge on this load, I'm going to follow it up with a hotter charge of 39 grains of powder. That's well within load data. Everything should work, but we're going to start off with 38. Cold gun, but this gun usually doesn't give a shit about a cold gun. It usually stacks them right on top of each other. So let's see how these new primers do with this load. I doubt we'll see much difference. Hopefully I can do my part and make this thing sink them into a nice little group. Let's get to it. I think we did it. Damn, this load shoots good. Every time. This is the 3rd trip out where it's shot just a crazy good group. Shit. Hopefully we can bump up the speeds and not change things too much, because, man, I like it. Other than our velocity is not great with this IMR4895, but real happy about the way that group looks, I can tell you that. Well, guys, I would say that that's probably the best group I've ever actually filmed. So super stoked on that. Like, turned out even better than I realized.
Wow. So, primer certainly didn't hurt accuracy. That's all I really cared about. The standard deviation still wasn't great, but when it shoots that good, I could really give a shit, and it does it repeatedly. Unfortunately, it does the bad standard deviation repeatedly as well. We're gonna bump our powder charge. 39 grains, same load outside that. Just put more powder in it. It makes me really happy because I went above and beyond with all the components of the rifle build. I made sure everything was high quality, and then doing things like the L.E. Wilson dies. Those are not cheap. Yes, you could get 7mm 08 dies for 50 bucks. The L.E. Wilsons are a premium die, but the results show up downrange. And then the funny part, this isn't like an A-tip or a fancy burger. These are Barnes match burners. So like, if anything, I'm skimping on the actual bullet portion of it, but I'm not, clearly. They work really good. So shout out to Barnes for making a kick-ass affordable bullet, man. Stoked. Let's see if we can shoot a good group yet again. And I'm battling Mirage off the ground. I was through the first 5 shots as well and managed to pull that together, so really happy about that. Didn't even get any Archimedes extractor, like this lever action. If there's a hot round, it'll get stuck in the chamber and it'll require this to pull it out. I didn't feel any of that. Which means we should be safe on pressure still. And the brass looks fantastic. Nothing to worry about there. Slightly more flattened primer. This is like totally what I would expect. Looks great. This is where you really got to do your job of just ignoring what the bullets are doing, kind of, to not anticipate anything. Just do your job shooting. Mirage is killing me, man. It came in right as I was ready to fire. Give my eyes a break, take a quick breath. A little breeze came through and helped clear out some Mirage. Just gotta wait for it. Mirage is killing me, man. I want to get these shots downrange, but I don't want to waste it. I think we did it again. From what I can see, it looks great, unless there's some crazy flyer hiding in the black. Really happy about that. I'm gonna move my scope right 2/10. There we go. Loving it, guys, loving it. Better standard deviation with that. Maybe it just wanted more powder. All right, guys, so I made a strategic decision here to shoot a specific powder next. And our first groups were with IMR4895, an extruded powder. Now we're gonna shoot Benchmark, another extruded powder. My only concern with shooting H380 is it's a spherical powder. Typically, those aren't as clean shooting. So I'm gonna try and keep the bore in better shape for Benchmark. You know, maybe the first couple shots to have to clear it out or whatever. So hopefully it shoots nice and clean, and then H380 will get a nice clean approach for its turn. So if that makes any sense, I don't know, but here we go. We're gonna shoot some Benchmark. This is loaded up to 37 grains. I shot Benchmark for the first time today, just a little bit ago, in my AR-15, and it did really good for us. So excited to see what it does in the 708. It is interesting how some powders love certain cartridges and not others, like we just saw in my 308 video. So you have to get subscribed. Follow along here. Watch all the reloading stuff. It's pretty entertaining to see what does good in different applications. I'm not running a target camera currently. If I shoot a good, nice group, I'll go start up the target camera. I don't know how long the battery's gonna last, and I'm trying to record all of my 223 stuff, so we'll see how this goes. Velocity is right where we've had before, and everything looks good. No hard extraction, nothing. I have now shot 12 rounds with the 708. I have yet to shoot 2 holes in the targets. I love this gun. It's looking like I'm gonna run down here and turn on my target camera for the next round. That one broke just a little early, but I think we still got it in there. Oh, that was shot 5. Okay, nice, very nice. I'm gonna let the rifle cool off. We're gonna go fire up the target camera because that was too good not to record the second time. I'll also give our rifle a chance to cool off while I run down there and back. So, sweet, off to a good start so far. Okay guys, target camera fired up. More benchmark 37 grains. I would love to shoot another group like that, so let's do it. Rifle sat in the shade with the rifle cool through the chamber, out the can. Got our suppressor cover on here. Sat in the shade while it was being cooled off. So did everything I could to cool this gun off. It's not hot today. It's about 60 degrees currently. Just warm enough to lay out in a t-shirt in the sun. So I did do something with the chronograph. There's a little bit of mirage going on. I'm letting it chill. I had the previous 5 shots. With the chronograph itself, if you turn it off, you will lose your string. But with the app, which I'm using now, you can see all your previous shots. And I shot the first 5, turned off the chronograph. It disconnects from the app, obviously. But when you fire it back up, turn your app back on, your previous 5 still remain, and then it will keep adding to that. So that's really nice to know. I even turned the phone off while I went down and back. So yeah, that's good. You can stack up multiple strings because this is the same load. So I want velocity data across all the shots. Oh man, this shit shoots so good. These primers look pretty flat. Not scary, but they're pretty flattened out. I don't think you could ask a whole lot more of benchmark. She's doing her job though. Oh no! That one came out of the group. That's our first bullet that has gone outside of a one-hole group today. There's a little bit of mirage, but I didn't think it would be that bad. Still a great group, although it's our worst group of the day so far. All right, guys, we're on to our final group with the 708. My target camera died. I don't have the option of turning it on this time. H380, loaded up with 43 grains. Definitely the highest powder charge of the day. And I have a note that says it may be hot because I loaded it pretty hot compared to the load data. So let's see how it goes. 43 grains, the same overall length of the same bullet. It should like this, but who knows? That's the fun of reloading. We're gonna find out. Rifle's been cooling in the shade while I shot my AR-15, so it's nice and cool. Just a tiny bit of lever used to extract that. Not bad at all. Primer is solidly flattened. Yeah, these are hotter, but not scary. I'm pretty sure I was just at the top of the reloading data. It wasn't over or anything, but I have 0 experience with H380, so we'll see how it goes. First round ever fired right there using it. Does not appear to love this. This is what makes reloading so interesting. All the variables. Yeah, not shooting this stuff good. We're just gonna keep sending them, because I don't think it gave a shit about a cold barrel. I can definitely see on these case necks, a few of them have a lot of black carbon around the case neck. So Getting back to that whole shooting a benchmark before H380. There's a reason. I've also heard H380 is very hard to ignite, so if you get out in the cold or something, it's possible to get hang fires and stuff. So I don't know, I have not experienced it, but I've heard about it. Yeah, this is a great example of why reloading is interesting. And also why I like extruded powders. Let's get back to the bench and talk about all this. We've got some excellent groups to talk about. Really excited. And then apparently some dumpster fire groups to talk about. So this will get interesting.
All right, guys, we're back at the bench. Let's talk about the rifle setup. American Rifle Company action and chassis. It's got an Elftmann Tactical Remington 700 trigger. It's set at a couple ounces. It's really nice. The barrel is 20 inches long. It's a 1-to-8 twist, which is kind of goofy for a 708. It should have been a 1-to-9, but I chose a 1-to-8. It's got a CIP chamber. It's a standard chambering. It's not a custom chamber in this thing. It's a standard chambering, but it's just done really well by Preece Precision. It's threaded 5/8 24 out on the end. We were shooting our AB Suppressor Raptor 6 stack, and then we had a suppressor cover from T&K Hunting out on the end as well. And then we have our excellent Tract 4.5 to 30 up top, which is their PRS model. Great reticle, really nice glass, 34 millimeter Tract Toric Ultra HD. My favorite scope I have, so it's on my favorite gun. And boy, did that thing work today. Super, super excited on the groups that we got. Conditions while shooting these were anywhere from 50 degrees up to 62 degrees or so, and shot with the rifle cooled down between every group, but had a significant period of waiting between each powder. So I would shoot 10 shots of each powder and then set the rifle off to the side, swap out rifles and shoot 10 rounds through a different gun. And I was using 3 guns this day, so it gave us plenty of time to let this thing cool off. Like, the rifle was essentially cold at the beginning of each string. We were using once fired Alpha Munitions 7mm 08 large rifle primer brass. Had Federal premium primers in it, and it had the Barnes 171s in there. The shoulder on these was bumped 2/1000ths with my L.E. Wilson's full-length bushing die, and then seated with my L.E. Wilson micrometer adjust seating die. Now originally I wrote up some data to load up H380 and then benchmark in my notebook, and then I realized, you know, I kind of want to mess with 4895 one more time and see if we can get it a little bit hotter. My goal is to mess with this stuff. I'm ready for a long range shooting trip after this trip, so we're gonna go shoot far with this combo with IMR4895. The shortcoming of 4895 is that its velocities are not as consistent as I would like it to be, but man, does this thing shoot as we saw. Just holy cow. So let's get into our velocities. Let's see. 380 in benchmark, we have velocities for all 10 rounds in a row. 4895, it's per 5-shot string because we changed powder charge. That makes sense, right guys? So take a look at our first group of 4895, 38 grains. This is a load we know shoots good, but it's funny because I know that it can shoot good. I don't want to screw it up on my end. So it puts more pressure on me now to shoot a load that I know can shoot through the same hole. So had to be careful. I was getting ground mirage before I ever even fired a shot with the gun today. For my first shot, I was getting mirage off the ground. So I was battling ground mirage yet again. Pain in my ass, bane of my existence. First group, 38 grains, 4895, shooting a .30. This is the third time it's shot a ragged hole group. It's just ridiculous. It shot the best 5-shot group I've ever shot at a .210. And yeah, so 38 grains coming out absolutely swinging, cold bore included at a .30. Moving on to a higher charge. 38 grains got us 2401 for velocity, an SD of 16.8, and a spread of 53. The one difference I've made, like I mentioned, was a different primer than before. We were using CCI BR2s, now we're using Federal Premium Large Rifle Match. So that's a bit different than we had seen before. I was curious if it was going to affect anything, and overall, no, not really, not seeing much of a difference. Let me check my previous velocities. So 48.95 right there. It was shooting 23.73 previously and 24.11. So no, it didn't change much. What were the differences? Oh, wait, 23.73. So it might have increased our velocity a little bit. It also might just be a little bit warmer than the last time I shot it. Hard to say. The gun was dirty. It had not cleaned it, but it was cold for that first group. So bumping up powder charge to 39 grains, another grain of powder added to it. Let's take a look at our group. We saw it get shot onto the target there. A .222 to the best of my abilities to measure that bad unit. Not my best 5-shot group, but I will take it. You know what I mean? Sub-quarter MOA. And our first groups, 2 of them in a row, under .3. Amazing. I love this gun. Super stoked. I was cloud 9 out there while shooting this. Velocity on 39 grains though, 24.61. So we picked up 60 feet a second and we shrank our SD down to 10.9. I don't know if that will be a consistent thing or not, whether it's going to shoot better velocities more consistently, having a fuller case. I would bet it's probably not. I think it just got 5 shots was not enough to show that, hey, this actually doesn't get great SDs. But 39 grains, SD of 10.9, a spread of 26. Super happy with both of those. IMR4895, this is our pet load in this gun. It shoots it over and over into the same hole. It loves to do it. So let's try out our new powders. How are these going to shoot? Ogden Benchmark up first as our next group. And we shot a very impressive group with this guy as well. I did not have my target camera set up for the good one, but I figured, hey, that first one was pretty good. Let's see if we can get a video of the second group. And unfortunately, just not holding it together quite as tight. As we look at both of these targets side by side, our benchmark shot a .26. So first 15 shots of the day with this gun going into less than .30. And our bad group of the day with benchmark is a .67. 4 of them touching, 1 of them just outside, and it's all horizontal there, so a little bit odd. Again, battling through mirage on all of this. So when mirage is there coming off the ground, my target will go blurry and it'll kind of do this and then it'll go back still again and then it'll go blurry and wiggle around. So trying to have a consistent point of aim on a target that's moving and you don't know where it actually is while you're trying to aim, really, really hard to do when you're trying to shoot tiny little groups like this. But maybe the mirage was fighting us more. Maybe it just didn't want to shoot another really pretty group. It's hard to say. But a .67, not bad. Like a .6 is a solid shooting bullet combo right there. Velocities on benchmark across all 10 shots were 24.46 with an SD of 21.2. So the SD, a little bit of a letdown there. Extreme spread of 71. And velocities, pretty dang similar. Right in between our low and high charge of IMR4895. So 24.46, whereas this was 2400 and 24.60. So benchmark coming out, shooting great groups. I would absolutely load up more of that within this combo. There's nothing wrong with it. It works well. Unfortunately, it just didn't show us like, hey, I shoot better SDs than 48.95, pick me. It just didn't do that. So I don't have a reason to change the benchmark, essentially. But in the future, if I can't find 48.95 and I can find this guy, maybe there's a reason to use it right there. But for now, I'm sticking with 48.95. What about a spherical powder in 708? This is a slower burning spherical powder. I have written the burn rates on my powder cans here, according to Ogden, as far as November of 2024 here. And it's from faster is a lower number, slower is a higher number. So 48.95 at 101. So benchmark is faster by 11 positions at 90. And then by 11 positions, 21 positions in the other direction, H380 is quite a bit slower than 48.95. So this one's closer, this one's further away in the burn chart. This is a pretty slow powder and a really odd looking powder when you're reloading with it. Spherical powders I don't have great experience with generally, and they're not my first pick as far as shooting precision groups. So that's why I picked this, just to see how it would do. And boy, it did something out there. Let's take a look here. H380, after shooting 15 rounds into less than a third, and then a bad group at 0.67, H380 came out and fired a 1.3 followed by a 1.34. Really getting back to this whole thing that I've been talking about on my channel of like, I really think it's about the combo. You got to have the powder and the bullet that like each other. These two like this bullet. This guy does not like this bullet. I know the rifle likes this bullet and is happy to shoot little groups with it, but if you give it the wrong powder, something goes haywire there. And as far as velocities are concerned, velocity was 25.56 with H380, with an SD of 18 and an ES of 60. So it's not like, so let's see here, Benchmark shot a worse SD with a higher ES. So it's not like the velocities are what's shooting inconsistently and making it shoot bad. This shot worse, more inconsistent, and this shot a worse group. This guy stacked them on top of each other at 100 yards. Really weird stuff in reloading, man. It's really interesting. That's what I like about this. So nothing much to even say about those groups. They're not good at all. It really sucks. It's actually one of the worst groups I've shot with the Barnes match burners. It's pretty funny. But yeah, that's what we did with the 7mm 08 today. I'm gonna load up more of the 39 grains of 4895. We're gonna go shoot some steel at long range. It's time to stretch out the 7mm 08, let these things fly. It's proved its worth here. It's proved that it can shoot tiny groups over and over, and I wanna go smack some steel around. As far as brass is concerned, everything looked just fine. Let's see here. Oh, that is one thing I wanted to talk about. On H380's necks, significant black carbon around the case necks here. That shows me that H380 was a dirtier powder versus, you know, some extruded stuff. Not getting as much of that dark, gross carbon on there. These guys have a little bit. Like, the rifle will get dirty, that makes sense. But the H380, definitely the dirtiest case necks that we see. Wait, which one's which here? Number one, these are H380s. Okay, so these guys are the ones who have the dirtier case necks. And these were 4895s. These are the first one shot of the day, and they're not pretty either. This gun might need to be cleaned. But I noticed while I was out there, very sooty and dark carbon rings on H380 by the end of the day. So maybe it is a combination of all the powders built up, but I would have guessed that H380 would have been the dirtiest, and the case necks did seem to be the dirtiest while collecting brass out there. Maybe I just proved myself wrong. I don't know. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about at this point. But yeah, there you go, guys. Hope you enjoyed the range footage. Hope you enjoyed the target camera while it lasted. I will try and do that more often in the future. Overall, H380's out. Benchmark has some real potential here. 4895 is still my favorite for the 708 with the 171 match burners. I think I'm going to load up some 171s and some Hornady 180s and go shoot them side by side at long range. That might be our next 7mm 08 video. Hopefully that sounds like something you guys would like. I appreciate you watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.